Too much energy. This is like
Yeah.
the hyped person ever met in.
We are still in a series of parenting with Sheila. Thank you so much for keeping it with Rita K to High Say. If you have enjoyed the family, again, I'll keep on singing the song until you subscribe. So amazing, guys. Like, she's amazing. She's a mother of two, but you can think she's not a mother, but her parenting skills are it for me. There's something that you were talking about and really hit me when you talked about first paying your children. In our generation, we didn't grow up with that.
I'm gonna cut you short there. I grew up like that. In my senior 4 vacation, all my friends were getting jobs, and everyone, you're going to go back to senior 5 when you have money. And also it's a chance when you're working to see your friends. Which they get.
Yes.
So you're like, I need to get a job. So I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I need to get a job, I need to work. And Mamsie told me, hey,
You want to work?
you want a job?
Yes.
So I said, yes, I need to get a job and work. He said, hey, okay, tomorrow you wake up and wake me up 6:30. I was awake. I was in a full suit. That brought me a very nice suit. I was wearing I remember it was a pantsuit. I was very excited. I even wore my mom's high heels, Sijukida. But I was super excited to go work. And I'm telling you, I was pumped up. And then I go 6:30 and look at the door. I'm like, so I'm ready to go to work. I'm going to go to a supermarket or like
anything as long as it's a job.
You know what I mean? I even had a huge bag. I don't know why. This big bag. My God.
Like you were set for work.
I'm telling you. So I go, and then he wakes up and comes up and he's like, hey, you ready for work? I'm like, yes. He's like, hey, okay. He walks me outside the house. He shows me the compound. He gives me a broom and he's like, when you finish here, you go and scrub the outside toilets. Then you mop here. I was like, but I thought I was going to work. He said, hey, I see you have a lot of energy to exert. You work. And I was like, okay. I did these chores while crying until the end of the day.
Like, I was so shocked. I thought you were going to tell me. Then you put me in the car.
He told me, no, you will work after university, my friend. What are you going to work? What don't you have? What do you need money for? And I was like, oh my God. Understanding him now, I see where he's coming from. You're a girl, you're young. He's like, oh, she's going to be exposed to so many people, da. But I think that was a bit ridiculous. Like, do you see how we watch movies and then these kids are selling lemonade on their stores outside their house when they're 8, 7, 9? You see that child, and you who's been exposed to the working culture and working environment after university, and who do you think is going to be a better person? This person understands the value of money. They know that you work to get money. But for you, you're starting out at 24. Well, my friend, you're in trouble. You will not compete. The other person already has a head start over you. So
how have you impacted that to your kids?
I just didn't want my kids to start understanding the value of money when they're 24 after university. I was like, I need them to know where money comes from. I need them to know that you don't just wake up in the morning and yawn and money comes.
And go to mommy. Yeah. I want money.
Exactly. She would come and she's like, can you buy some machine? I don't have money. And she'd be like, no, just go to the machine and press that thing, the money will come. Or as if a machine, now you will see where the money comes from. So I'm like, guys, everyone's going to take a job in this house. And when you do your job, you get paid. If you don't do your job, you don't get paid. When you want specific toys, if it's not your birthday or you want, my friend, you won't be able to have your money to buy it. I will take you to buy it, but you must have the money. Okay? And that was it. Everyone has a job. The other one wakes up and sweeps the compound. The other one draws curtains in the morning and at night. It seems like a very small thing, but it is important. Do you know why? Because it's in her head. She wakes up even before she does anything. You see her hurrying to draw the curtains because she knows that is her job. And then sometimes, you know how curtains can get stuck sometimes. When she doesn't do it well, you see her frustrated. That I don't know why the curtain is not moving well. For me, that excites me because I'm like, she wants to do her job very well. She's learning.
But even in hardships, you don't give up.
You don't give up. Yeah, which also takes me to my mom. We have a motto at home. Our motto is try and never give up.
Wow.
Yeah, so we always say that because for me, that teaches me, that helps me teach them that you must work if you're going to get something. And number two, it helps me see how they're adjusting. In the beginning, it was like a struggle, especially for my son. Like, he has to sweep a compound this small, but he would first remove his shirt, tie it in the waist. My friend is like, I want to sweep the compound. It's a very hard job. Then you find him sweeping with anger. But with time, when he got his first money, he was like, now on the dot, you can find him warming up, waiting to go and sweep the compound with so much love.
With enjoying, with love.
Yes, but because he knows that at the end of the day, there's a reward. So it also teaches them a lesson. Don't work if you're not getting paid. At the end of the day, your work must be able to pay you. Yes, it must reward you. Yes, it must be able to reward you because that's the only. Money is an incentive to work. So when you see them doing work, that transition from not enjoying it and it feeling like trouble, and then they now smoothly do it without any problems, and then you now see them enjoying it. It takes time. It's a process, but when it happens, you know that you've actually done something. Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah, that is it when it comes to work. That's how we
reading books. How have you done it? How have you impacted your kids to love reading books? Because it's so sophisticated.
Yes.
Kids are going back to school.
Oh
one day it's locked.
So
are you leaving them to be?
It is impossible. You cannot be 4 in the house.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
What age did you start? I had your son say the word sarcastic. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Wait!
A new word. It's a different era. It's a different era. So, my God, when it comes to teaching children, especially helping them be learned, there's so much that school can do. And that is one thing that we struggle with as parents. You know, we assume that it is
everything.
Exactly. You assume that it's a school's responsibility to do that. By the way, I'm so going to shame my mother right now. My mom, they used to give us homework in my primary and was supposed to sign. She was supposed to sign down after the homework. My mom one day told me, sit here. She put her signature on a paper, a full scrap, A4, and told me, I spent 20 minutes practicing her signature.
Like you're supposed to sign for yourself.
When I got it, she said, now don't come back to me, my friend. When you do your work.
Sign.
I signed my homework from primary 4 up to primary 7.
You would sign your work?
Yes, I do my homework and then sign for it. So she didn't know how I was
whether
doing.
You were...
Do you know what I mean? But thank God that my father was the exact opposite. My father was a student and teacher of literature. So he has a lot of impact on, the way
you do puzzles when you're crying.
Yes, every morning I had to sit and fill up the puzzle while doing breakfast. Yeah, I was really lucky that whilst my mother was extremely unbothered by my education, my father was extremely bothered. You see, because on top of the puzzles I had to do every morning, crying, every single morning I had to fill out that new vision puzzle. On top of that, he was a student and a teacher of literature. So sometimes he would come home and ask me, so what book have you been reading? And then I'd tell him, so you see, I've been reading Tom Sawyer, and you'd say, what is the last line in the book?
I give up.
And then you start sweating. You start, I read that book 25 years ago, and I remember the last word, and when did you read it? Now, Daddy, you see, he's like, no, I don't want your nonsense. So now, that was super encouraging. Like, at first I read out of that pressure of, okay, I need to read because it should be. Yeah. But then, I think he also realized that it was starting to choke me. I realized, I think my mom told him, this kid goes to school every morning with her eyes swollen. Teachers will think, you know what I mean? So I realized that every morning he started doing his puzzle, my puzzle. So I'd be doing mine, he'd be sitting there doing. And then when he would see me like getting frustrated, he's like, what is that? He's like, you can just look at the words and he guided me through it, And then I just picked that interest in reading. And then also, he would compliment me when I've read something good, or if he asks me to interpret something, like maybe a book we've both read, and he asks me, so in your understanding, what have you understood? And when I would make like a good point or a good argument of what I've understood, he'd be like, you're my most intelligent child. Silently, so for me that kind of thing would be like, la 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 la. So now I wanted to read because I knew he was going to compliment me, and it was important to me to please him.
So at what age did you start reading? How did you start? Then we can
journey.
Kick it to
so
your kids.
Interesting. I went to school when I was 2 years old. I took myself to school. My parents were sleeping. I jumped out of my bed, went past a maid. There's like a school in the neighborhood. I went there the whole day, like 4 hours. The whole police was looking for me.
You're paying promotion at home.
My mother's things. I told her, go, man, I was there, go. And then before they know it, I was at school sitting with this. Should I say like a school? Like when you go out to
kids
bed.
passing by. You're like,
what are you? And I'm like, why? So this one morning I realized that kids are really intelligent human beings. I had people snoring. I'm like, this is the day the Lord has made.
and you went.
I scattered there. The good thing, the teachers were looking at me. Meanwhile, I had my bottle and it had spoiled milk. When you slept, I think I slept with the milk drinking. So in the morning the milk was spoiled. But I went with my spoiled milk. I went with my spoiled milk to school and I had it the whole time. The teachers were teaching and they had very soiled nappy. So then the teachers were looking at me like, before I knew, the teacher told me, show me your home. And then she held my hand. This is like 3 hours later. I went home and it was like, okay, so all my aunties had come, they had all cried. So that's how I got into school.
And you started
tutoring? Yeah. I did 1 week there and then they took me to a nursery school called Salvation Army. I just have a strange way of getting into school. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay. Yeah, you had to do a school interview. So my interview was set and then my mom took me. I go in, they give me a test. I look at it, I come out of the test. So when I come out, the teacher tells my mom, unfortunately, she's failed. She didn't answer any question. So my mom is like, really? She's like, yeah, sorry. My mom is like, you give us some very hard questions. She said, no, she just wrote her name and that was it. But at least she could write her name. So I told her she could write and that's important. She said, okay. They're like, yeah, just try or wait another year and bring her. My mom is like, okay. Then actually I told her maybe it's because she skipped middle class that she's not doing really well. So my mom told them I'd done nursery and then taught class. So they said, no, just give her another year in nursery and then bring her. So we're going home and we're sitting and then my mom tells me, but Sheila, the whole paper, nothing, pepe. Actually that used to be like our favorite word, pepe to mean zero. Like, the whole paper, pepe. And I was like, why did they give me questions of baby class?
Actually, before you even continue, what I learned from that, to talk to your children in a way that's your friends.
Exactly.
Instead of whooping you, she talked to you as a friend.
She really did. It was really, I remember, like, that memory is so vivid. She told me, she's like, what happened? She's like, didn't you know anything? Like, absolutely nothing? You couldn't even try one number?
So what was your answer?
I told her, no. I didn't do it because they gave me work for baby class. I want to do work for primary. I want to do work for primary. Why are they giving me work for baby class? I have never seen. Actually, she always tells me that they could have knocked us. She said the way I turned that car, even me, I don't know. She said I just made a U-turn in the middle of the road and I took it back and told her, please, I beg you, give her something else. This is the reason. And then the teachers were all like, huh? They wanted to see
who is this
kid who came and she was like,
and yellow.
No, very small and very yellow. So she was like, she's like, please, I beg you, please, kindly, because because I don't think she wanted to go, and then start telling me, and then start looking for another school, and they already zeroed down with that school. They really want. It is important for children to go early to school. I think one, what are they doing at home really? If especially you're working and you're home, I get it, because you can homeschool your children, but you're working. The child is spending time with a maid who is busy doing chores. So the chances of the child getting an accident because the maid is not sitting there with them, you know us, we can't afford a maid, a nanny, or strictly wabana. These things are for bougie people. You have to know your wallet, you know. So for me, it was one, a security thing, and also I feel like there's more value being imparted on the child while they're at school. They're learning how to interact. You see, even this, what is it called? Playgroup. The child is learning how to interact. Children learn what their fellow children are doing. So when you take a 3-year-old to school and they're hanging out with 3-year-old children, they'll be like, hey, a 3-year-old doesn't pee in class. They go to the bathroom. So that child will come home and stop peeing everywhere because they see what their children do. Important for parents to understand that it is their primary role to educate their children. Primary, the teacher is secondary.
Okay.
If a child has not come from home, when they can at least comprehend and understand that 1, 2, 3, how are you? There's basic things that child's not going to learn from school. You know, it gives them a head start. When they go to school, they have somewhere to begin from. They're not starting from zero. A child who goes to school when they know, the teachers don't.
And
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if a child comes to school and his own whose work is
Figuring out everything.
He's the one, the teachers, they be saying, that's to be the conversation in the staff room. But if your child is a quick, sharp one, even when the teachers are thinking, when the teachers are doing like an exam or an exhibition, they want that child
to be the first.
Exactly. Because even the teacher gives the child more attention.
So do you read with them? How do you start to pack them?
It is important to read with your children and also encourage reading alone. Okay? One, you need to read. Why you need to read with them? To help them understand, to help them figure out words. For me, I did that with my children, in that they would, before they could learn how to put words together and form a sentence, they could identify words. Like if they went to, actually my son told me, it's a very interesting story. They put the word on the blackboard and they tell the class to read it. And then the class reads, but he's reading it a different way, and the whole class is reading it the same way. So the teacher says again, and then they do the same thing. So this time she says, keep quiet, class read. Class says the same way. So this time when they tell him, now it's your turn, he's afraid. He thinks he was reading it the wrong way. So now he reads like the rest of the class was reading it. Just says, no, read it the way you were reading it. And then he reads the correction. The teacher's like, that's the correct way. And then he was so excited to come home and tell me, but that's a word that we'd read
at home
with
you.
With me. So he knew that this is how we pronounce the word. Reading gives a child demographic. They understand things that they're not going to learn.
He was so proud of himself that I knew something the class did.
Extremely proud. He came and said, can you imagine? The teacher came and read a word on the blackboard and I knew it. I'm the only one who knew how to read it, So that is exciting. But for me, reading helps. These things are not going to teach you in school. But you will get that knowledge
at home
through reading, through watching maybe a documentary. I don't know, whatever way you impact. It's like trying to read a word, maybe let's say like champagne, then another one says champagne. But you can't blame them who's reading champagne because that's how the word is written and they're taught how to read with vowels and sounds. But if a child has been exposed to that word before, they will know that the word is champagne, but I read it as champagne. You see?
Apple and April.
You know what I mean? So it's important to teach children how to
pronounce the exact pronunciation.
Yes, and they do that at school. So it is important to keep the same trend at home because the kid will go to school and they'll teach them January, February, March, April. Then they'll come home and then you'll say January, February, March, April. Like what's April? You know what I mean? Or pencil, and then at home you say pencil. You see, that practice makes it perfect. And then oh, there's something really interesting. I didn't know. Do you know the vowel letters? The vowel sounds?
A, E, O.
That is not correct. A, E, O, There is no.
That's how you can get the schools we went to.
Exactly. So for us, we used to say A, E, O.
Until now, I know.
Exactly. Even me, I was like that until I had to go to a school. You know, they had to. It's like an initiation thing. When the kids go to school, you have that first interaction. They teach you, like, this is the syllabus we use. These are the things you are going to be learning this year. So now we teach the children the same thing. So it was important for us to learn. It's A, E, O, I'm telling you, I struggled. You have seen the first time meeting that I'm like, so you know it is A, E, O, and he's like, gosh. I'm like, it's the truth. He's like, no. And then we had to go to Google, and Google said A, E, O. What happens at school, translated at home, reciprocate it. Make sure they stay on track. When you're at home, don't say, bring the cup. No. Speak to them the way teachers speak to them. Speak to them the way you want them to speak. Bring the cup. If they don't learn to pick up a pace while speaking, they struggle when they're older. You can't walk into an interview with someone who speaks quickly, confidently. The other thing your child is saying, as you see, my name is so and so. No. I have those quick mind games, like we do it all the time. Like sometimes it's letters, it sounds like I'll jump out of nowhere and over into the house and I'm like, what's the start with A, go? And then there's no thinking too much. You have to like be, it helps the kids be sharp. Then you hear apple, astronaut, It helps the kids to think, and that means also when they're watching something on TV and they hear a word starting with a certain letter, they pick it because they want to excite you. You know, when you come and ask and then they say that and you're like, oh my God, you know that word? That joy of showing the kid that, oh my God.
And then so Alexa comes in with her own words.
Yeah, you know, my daughter does that. Like, we'll be like, what does it start with? P. And then we'll be like, oh, they have an uncle, my brother's called Peter. We'll be like, Peter, Paul, pumpkin. They will come up with words, and then you will see, because the other one is older and of course more exposed, and the same goes for me. The younger one will reach somewhere and run out, so she will say something like Pele. We all pause and we're like, sorry, and she's like, Pele. And what kills me is the straight face she has. She's like, Pele. And you're like, what does Pele mean? And she's like, I don't know, but I think it sounds like a word like you're happy. and then you'll be like, and then the brother will be like, do you know what happens to liars? Do you know where liars go? And then she'll be like, okay. But it just sounded like a real word. Mommy, you hear it. Pele. Pele. And that thing kills me. But you made an effort to create a word, an imaginary word, and actually just like, but Mommy, you hear it?
It sounds like a real
Pele.
word.
It sounds like a real word, Mommy. It's you see. You say it. You try and say it. And then, you know, and then it's so hilarious. And then I'll be like, okay, we'll catch you some slack. But for me, it's the effort. Not the child being like
lazy and not even trying to think of something new.
And I struggled in my daughter for that. She doesn't like failing. So when she does something and she doesn't know it, she didn't want to try. So we'll be like, try it. She's like, no. I'm like, read this word for me. She's like, no, I don't know it. I'm like, just try. You just try. Even if you read the wrong word, I'll correct you, but you have tried. And so now seeing her creating her own words, I'm like, okay, now we are trying a bit too much, you know, but it's good. It's good. I'm like, this is good. So quick, simple exercises, even that playfulness, it's a good way to bond. It's a good way to relate to your children. And I know I'm really mean. We also play games using my family. Like I'll come in front of a child and I'll do something. And then they'll all say, Auntie Sheena, because that's what their auntie does. Or I'll walk a certain one, they'll be like, Auntie Avery, is that what you're doing? So we just play those games, and they also do the same thing. Like I'll be at work And then they'll call me and make like a certain voice or say a certain word which we know someone says, and then we'll laugh about that. So building relationships as well. Lockdown, it's been tough, really tough, especially for parents who have to work. Man, it was really tough. The kids had to do. At first we were like stuck, confused, all of us looking at each other. Then very quickly the school put up an online studying program, so we started that. Do you know supervising 2 children?
And
Both
of
below
them.
7. I'm telling you, this one has smashed a phone. This one is on the computer, but when you actually go, he's putting backgrounds behind. He's at a beach. The teacher is teaching. He's like, now he's in Dubai. You know, the backgrounds on the screen. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my mind. You have to work. You have to supervise them. You have
to give them answers at the same time when they ask you.
know?
You don't want to look like you don't know anything.
So it was really tough, but we managed to do it. What I did, because I knew that I didn't have patience in teaching you guys, you need to be very grateful to your children's teachers.
I
These
told
people
my
do
brother
the
the same
most.
thing. Like, I can't
They
be a
do.
teacher. I can't.
They
like,
do the most. It's unbelievable. Like, you get your own child and you just want to send them to God. It's the most polite way of putting it. You want to give them back to the Creator and say, "Toro muntu." So now I can imagine a teacher is not even a parent of this child. These people, they have so much grace, it's unbelievable. I didn't have it. Sheila said, you know what? I choose to be your mother. I refuse to be your teacher. So I got a teacher, 2 teachers actually, who would come home. One is this one is this one. They study there online, and in the afternoon, the teacher engages them on what they were
Studying.
learning, you know. So we do that, and they've been on a routine every day. They wake up at 6:30 a.m. every day.
Everyone does their job.
Every day, you do your job, then you take a shower, dress up in full school uniform, and sleep. It sounds extreme, but it helps the kids stay
On track.
on track properly. You know, sleeping time is 8:30 standard. 9 p.m. during weekdays. On the weekend we go up to 11 or midnight, whatever. But weekdays, I mean, as soon as that Kadongo NTV news comes on, everyone is like, good night. We don't even have that discussion. So, keeping the children on track, also as a parent, it helps you continue with your day-to-day activities properly without your schedules colliding, and then kids will have to go back, so you start struggling.
Yeah.
Putting the child back in that
in that
kind of
mode
mode,
of you
waking
need to
up
wake up early.
every
So
day.
whether they're at school or not, they have to wake up at 6:30.
6:30 a.m. Wow. Wake up, do your chores, have breakfast, then take a shower, put on your uniform. The teacher comes at 8 a.m. 8:30. So before
Wow.
the teacher comes, we read something. Everyone reads while they wait for the teacher to come. It's a good way to spend time, because usually you're going to go off to work, come back later. So that one I must be involved. So we have a book for every day. And when you read a book 5 times,
Oh,
then
wait.
you finished it.
It must be 5 times.
Yeah, you must read actually. So I feel like they need to read a book at least 5. That's what at least my father told me.
So that you may be able to
So
understand
that
very
you
well.
can be able to remember what line is well. But I feel like every time you read a book, it gives you a better understanding. You look at it in a different way. You know, like if you're reading a book and it looks like this person was a villain, the next time you read it, you're like, he wasn't a bad person. He was just pressed by life. If he had the resources that a person had, he would not have done what he did. Do you know what I mean? It gives, every time you read the book over and over again, it gives you a fresher perspective. Yeah, so we do that. When you read the book 5 times, you get a reward. When you finish the 5 times, you get a reward. And usually the reward is a new book. You will get something, but also the book. At first I gave him a book, and then my son opened. It was a present, very well packed. He opened the box, removed the book, and then did like it's the box. So I was like, this is it. I say, yeah. He's like,
But I'm just read a book.
it's like I read a book. I was like, yeah. So that's another one. But so I realized that I need to boost like a morale. So now I add something. Like you will get another book, but
But
maybe
still, you
something,
get it will be
something which you like.
continuous. Like
Exactly. It
a
has to be
book
continuous.
after this book, this
Yeah,
book, this
yeah,
book.
yeah. And I
Wow.
spoke to a very intelligent young man who told me about one of those great men. I'm sure who exactly. But I think Jews, I think he mentioned it was Jews. He said Jews in their culture, the father teaches his children to read. And every time you read a specific number of books, you get a certain amount of money as a reward for having that much. Because if the books you read are the knowledge you have. Demographics. You know, you read a book about science, a book about technology, a book about ancient history, a book about maybe archaeology, something. So for every 10 books you read, that's $100. So you as a father, you can't make your child read books you have not read. Do you know what I mean? So it got me thinking, I need to reward my children more. So that's now also a parenting tip that I picked up. Like now, instead of just giving them the books, I give them something else that I know they will like.
And also, you must have read it. Like
Exactly. It is important to read a book that I'm going to give a child, because how else will I gauge if they understand or don't understand? Soon I'll come and I'll be like, I'm like, who was Polly's sister? And they'll be like, oh, Polly's sister was called Ruth. And I'll be like, oh, what did Ruth look like? Because the book describes Ruth was very, you know, the children's books are very visual. So if it's a cartoon, they wear the same cloth throughout. So if you ask, what does Polly's sister, how does Ruth look like? A child will describe and say, oh, Ruth is short and fat and she wears black boots and a white skirt. So you will know that they actually they
visualize,
have, exactly.
they read.
So they're not just reading just to finish the cartoon. That's why by the time they're reading it the 5th time,
it's in their
here.
head. Oh my God, Sheila, you're such an amazing parent, but we can't exhaust it all. I mean, it's a lot when it comes to parenting. Like you said, actually, every day is a journey. There's something to learn. Your last 3 months, talk to a parent out there. You know, new journey, being a mother. She doesn't understand what to do.
Well, like I said, every day is a learning process. Everything you do, it's okay to make mistakes as a parent, first of all. It's very okay. You know how we said about the litmus paper in secondary school?
Leave me here.
Like when you pour this certain liquid, it turns blue or red or what. So parenting is a litmus test. Every time you're learning something, you're unlearning something, you're getting used to new things. So you're doing your absolute best. I think that's number one. If you're not, you will do better. You have to push yourself to do better. Because at the end of the day, this child did not ask to come into the world. You are the one. You are the one who brought them here. So you are solely responsible. You alone for their well-being and for their upbringing. So my biggest tip is try to bond as much as you can. Create that openness, you know, rebuke when the kids go wrong, love them when they deserve to be loved, show them that it's okay, I'm here, you're here, we are family. Again, love is the biggest and greatest commandment of all. So with that in mind, I think everything else can be fixed. Number 2, spend as much quality time as you can. For people who are work. You want to come home, you're tired, then you're on your phone, then you're doing what? Create some time with the children. Even if it's just 30 minutes of having dinner together as a family, it is important. Even if it is that time when you tuck them in bed and you pray with them, that is important. Okay? As a parent, you know, have time for yourself. Take those long showers if you must. Go lock yourself in a bathroom if you need it. I do that sometimes when I just want a break. I'm much the bathroom. When I lock the door, then they'll be in the door, mommy. But I'm like,
You need a break to
that time.
refresh yourself.
Yes, and every time you remind yourself that, oh, I can still look good, I can still look beautiful, I can still dress up nice. It helps you not resent your life as a parent. There's people who are just miserable, angry people. You know why? Because they have to wake up in the morning and family funny t-shirt which has porridge here. They're mopping the house, they're doing what the day ends, you find someone like your child.
Yes.
Like people, motherhood is just so tough, it is just so bad. I'm not saying it's all glamorous and everything, but you must reach a point where you say, I'm saying, period. And then
Like you get a life
you
also.
have a life also, and then you even, when you're in a good mood, that energy will reflect. And
Wow.
your children will feel it.
Yes.
When you're in a damp mood, your children will feel it. You won't enjoy yourselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. And also, it's a lesson for your children. When they see that you wake up in the morning,
And your smiles, yeah, they will be like,
Otherwise,
hey,
it's-
at the end of the day, mommy does this.
do what you want your children to do. Don't just tell it to them. Let them see you do it and let them reciprocate.
Wow.
Yeah. So the basic things for me. And the people you surround your children with is very, very important. Company. Yeah. So on top of being a mother, there's so many other better and greater things. You're also an entire human being.
Like, I can't exhaust you, Kumana, because, man, you're just a game.
I'm so excited. I'm
So,
happy.
my God, it's been a lovely one. I know we didn't finish it all because we can't finish it all in just a day, but I've learned a lot. In the time frame I've known you, I feel like, oh my God, you're one of the wisest people in my life. I'm so blessed. I'm so honored to know you. I just thank God that I met a person like you. Guys, thank you so much for watching this YouTube channel. I really love you guys. I love you all. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and don't forget that notification bell too, because each time I upload a video, it will ring out in your inbox and you will know that Rita is here. So till we meet again in my next episode, I love you guys. Cheers.
Bye bye.